Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi.
This is Munira, Niche Navigator, coming to you live with another guest showcasing him. And our guest is Yahya Ghaznavi. He's all the way from Karachi, Pakistan. So welcome to our show, Yahya.
Thank you, Munira. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, hope everybody is doing well. So everybody, I am the Niche Navigator. And what I do is I help people find their niches, discover their niches. The thing is, most people want to do something with their life. They know what to do, but they are afraid, or they have no clue about what they want to do and they want to do something else. So they come to me and we figure it out with my compass. So there you go. That's what I do. This show is about, entrepreneurship is hard. So this show is about finding the right niche for you and listen to the stories of people who have gone and paved the way, because everybody has had to pave the way. So what is Yahya what is Yahya going to tell us? So Yahya, thank you so much again for being on our show. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm essentially, to cut a long story short, I wear a lot of hats. I'm essentially a high performance and mindset coach. I work with people across the world, entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners, investment bankers, celebrities, coaches, and regular people like me and you. And I help them manage their mindset to get to either overcome their biggest roadblocks, mental blocks, any roadblock that they're facing, or accomplish whatever they dreamt of. Now, the dream could be something as simple as achieving a fantastic body. The dream could be scaling their business to the next level. The dream could be having a wonderful, fulfilling relationship with their children, their significant other. The dreams could be, it could be multitudes of different things. That is essentially what I do.
So you talk about mindset and you say that you can help anybody who has this problem. Why is mindset such a big thing? Why do we block ourselves from the next level of success?
All right, wonderful. I love that question, but I'll just predicate it with what you said about me. I help anybody who wants to help themselves.
Okay.
Somebody doesn't want to help themselves, I cannot help them.
True.
So there's lots of people who just decide that they're not worth it, that they're for whatever reason, they have made a decision that they have resigned themselves to whatever life has thrown at them. I cannot help them. Person's got to believe that they need to do that. Now, coming to mindset, I like to measure people and I like to talk to people about the fact that it is better to assess a person not based on what they've achieved, but based on what they've overcome.
Okay.
And in my life, as everybody has trials and tribulations in their lives, my life is no different, right? So I've had, I've gone through emotional trauma, physical trauma, biological trauma, accidents, disease, financial bankruptcy, emotional, et cetera, et cetera. That's right. I don't look it, I know.
And we know that's part of life, right? That's part
Absolutely.
of who we are. We have to go through all of these hurdles.
Absolutely. And I overcame all that. I triumphed. And then I'm proceeded to achieve and accomplish, and I built businesses. I'm known as an exponential growth expert where I'd be hired by multinational companies, in the pharmaceutical space, as well as in the consumer packaged goods space, to set up businesses from zero and scale them. So $1 million in the first year, 3 million in the next year, 7 million in the third year. And I developed a reputation as being an exponential growth expert. At the same time, I took my own physique and then later on other people's, and I got rid of, borderline diabetes, high blood pressure, chronic cholesterol, et cetera, et cetera. I used to be a power lifter and an athlete. I still consider myself athlete, but I don't compete professionally. And then I looked at everything in my life. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, what is the single thing that allowed you to overcome all the challenges in your life and to achieve everything in life? And it turned out, and the answer was that it was my mindset, the way, the perspective that I have on life, the story I tell myself, and the way I approach situations. If you fix what's in here, everything else just basically falls into place. Whether you're dieting and working on trying to lose the last 20 pounds or the first 20 pounds, whether you're starting a business and you feel overwhelmed and you don't know where to start, what to do, or you've started a business, you're doing well, but you just cannot seem to get to the next level, or you're stuck in an unhappy relationship with perhaps a narcissist who's abusive towards you, et cetera, right? It's everything else boils down to mindset. Now, your question was why do people land in mental blocks?
Yes.
The answer, the short answer is conditioning. Decades and decades of conditioning. The first person who conditions us is our parents. When our parents tell us, oh, you're not pretty enough, you better lose some weight, otherwise nobody's going to like you. Oh, you're not smart enough, you better play up your looks, otherwise you're not going to do well in life. Oh, you better make some money, otherwise. That's all conditioning. It's not real. It doesn't exist. Now, this doesn't mean our parents are bad people. They love us. They're trying to give us the right message, but they're giving it in the wrong way. So first we have our parents who tell us a certain narrative about ourselves, and then our parents go away. But they've said it to us so many times that we then tell it to ourselves. Yeah, mom always used to say, I'm a loser, right? And I've worked with people like that. Munira, I worked with a tech giant. This man, brilliant. He started at the age of 18. He started his first company, and by the age of 34, he had started and sold 3 companies in the United Kingdom. Multi-millionaire, billionaire guy. And he hired me and he said, yeah, the world sees me in a different light, but when I see myself, I see an absolute loser, and I see the guy my dad told me I am, which is an absolute washout, an absolute loser, no self-image, no self-esteem, horrible body image. I work with women who've been, who are victims of, domestic abuse, marital rape. They're on the verge of suicide, and they call me and they say, yeah, I used to be a doctor. I used to be the brightest, blah, 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 blah. And now I think I'm an absolute washout and the world would be a better place without me, right? I'm on the verge of killing myself. Can you please work with me? Help me, right? The story, everything revolves around the story we tell ourselves and how much we allow the outside world to influence that story. So do we? Go ahead.
How do you fix that?
You fix that. Well, first of all, when people come to me, they're not essentially, where does the story come from? Mental blocks come from belief, the beliefs we hold about ourselves. I believe I can, or I believe I cannot. Right? Henry Ford said that. Whether a man thinks he can or whether he thinks he cannot, he's absolutely right, because whichever he thinks to be true is what he's going to do. Einstein said, right, the most important question man needs to ask himself is whether he lives in a friendly world or a hostile world, right? The question gives you the answer, right? If you think people are horrible, people are scum, you will see people as horrible scum. You will get betrayed. You will get, the biggest shocks. If you think people are good, you come across good people. We're constantly scanning the environment for what we already believe to be true, right? So we only see what we believe to be true. We're filtering out everything else. Now, when a person comes to me, if I flat out tell them, this is your belief, go fix it, they're not ready to believe that their belief is flawed.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Because for them, that's reality. For them, that's very much reality. I've always been ugly. No man has liked me. I keep attracting the wrong man in my life. This and that. And I know this to be true, Yahya. I need your help. Please help me attract the right man. That's where the story starts, right? So I don't immediately tackle belief. I start giving them tools which allow them to change their state, their mental state, their emotional state, their physiological state, psychological state, biological state, biomechanical state. There's different types of states, right? When I start making them have experiences that they've never had. So most people who come to me are overwhelmed, right? They're losing their mind. They're super stressed. They're panicking. They have anxiety, or they're just depressed, right? The flat pancake. They don't have what it takes to get out of bed in the morning and go to work or look after their children, right? So I give them a taste of what it's like to feel and be completely different from the way they've been for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I do that for a short while. Then I started changing, then I start working on their perspective, right? Because perspective defines everything.
Okay.
Whether you think you're a winner or you think you're a loser, you're going to act like that. So it starts with state, it moves on to perspective, and then I move on to emotion. Because people are, like I said, conditioning. People can be conditioned to feel a certain emotion. So you know how we always have people who are permanently negative or permanently positive?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
even in the best of circumstances, some people will always be negative, and in the worst of circumstances, some people will always be positive. These aren't good or bad people. These are people who are conditioned to feeling a certain way.
Okay.
When I decondition the old thing out of them and I recondition a new emotion into them, all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I never thought I could feel this way. This is a pretty good feeling, right? Because as much as people and society would like to believe it, the external world has nothing to do with the way we feel. Nothing. If money and success and fame made people happy, then we wouldn't have celebrities committing suicide, killing themselves. They'd be the happiest people in the world, and we wouldn't have poor people living. All poor people would kill themselves, right? Because so it starts with state, moves to perspective, then moves to emotion. By the time a client of mine or anybody in my program has experienced all three, they're like, yeah, whatever. Like they're completely open to the concept of reshaping who they have always been, forgetting about their past, not letting their past influence them, and they're ready to take on whatever life has to give to them.
Okay.
And that's where belief comes in.
No, but that's perfect, right? Because you are now helping them break that armor that's built around them and find that true person there. And you said parents condition and then you condition yourself. So it's your self-sabotaging self that's helping you to do what you are not supposed to do, but it just enforces your belief. Then do we do, my question is that I have new grandchildren right now. So how do we then change our new parents to put the positiveness in the new children? Because we've already kind of lived our life and we have to now hire a coach to break all of the beliefs. How do we do that so that we don't do what our parents did to us, to our new children? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. So a lot of parents I work with have this question, and they're like, how do I make sure I don't damage my child? I want what's best for my child, but I don't want my child to be a slacker, right? I want my child to toughen up, and I don't want to damage my child. One of the easiest things to do with children is to give them to speak encouraging and empowering words, but that doesn't mean to go easy on them. So I'm big on punishment, but I'm not big on abuse. So if your child makes a mistake, it is okay to give them corner time for 5 minutes, downtime, no iPad, no computer, nothing. It is not okay to call them stupid and say, are you blind? Can you not see? Are you an idiot? That's all abuse. You never know. So my mom was the same, by the way. Are you stupid? Can you not see? Blah, blah, blah. I had a very thick skin. My brother did not. So I was fine, but like I speak from real world example, right? My brother was more sensitive. He took it to heart. He actually believed a lot of things he was told in anger by my mother or my father, whoever, right? So it is okay to punish, to teach your child important life lessons. And then, of course, I'm going to tell you how I do that. It is not okay to abuse a child. It is not okay to put down a child. It is not okay to attack a child's self-esteem. It is not okay. Absolutely not. Now, another concept that I practice with my own children and that I teach my clients to do is controlled adversity. Expose your children to adversity before the world exposes them to adversity. So a lot of us have children who are brought up, my children and a lot of my clients' children live in a bubble where we protected them, we provided them the best environment, they only meet selected people, etc. They don't know what the real world is like. And then one fine day when they grow up and they venture to the real world, they're hit, by a locomotive train. So controlled adversity is the concept where you deliberately expose your child to controlled situations that have some level of adversity in them to familiarize with the child with what can happen. So, for example, it's not always a good idea to say yes when your child wants to have pizza. Sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no. It's not always good to buy your child the gift they want. Sometimes say yes, sometimes say no. So that's how you encourage, you put in reward and punishment. You teach that sometimes you get what you want, sometimes you don't get what you want, and it's okay. It's absolutely okay. So I'm big on controlled adversity, not just for children. I do it with all my clients as well. When you use the word armor, essentially armor is the comfort zone that people build up inside their heads around them, and they refuse to venture out of it. So I get a lot of, I get a lot of men who are like, I'm big on, yeah, man, push me out of my comfort zone. I love going to the gym, and this translates into my work, et cetera, et cetera. There's 5 types of comfort zones, right? They're big on the biomechanical comfort zone, putting your body under pressure and punishment. There's emotional discomfort, right? Feeling emotions that you're not familiar with. That's what I put men through. there's there's physiological discomfort, sitting in a chair that you don't like sitting in, sitting on the floor, sleeping in a different bed, any sort of thing, eating a different food. That's physiological. There's psychological discomfort, doing things that you're not used to doing. If you brush your teeth with your right hand, brush them with your left hand. Then there's
simple things, but allowing you to change the break out the armor that you always felt, the complaint.
Essentially what I practice and what I preach is you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you don't, if you don't, life is going to make you, right? If you don't deliberately break your comfort zones, life will make sure that it shoves you out of your comfort zone when you least expect it. So it's better to be proactive and practice discomfort on multiple levels, not all levels at the same time every day. Variance, and some days make yourself physically uncomfortable. Other days, make yourself emotionally uncomfortable. Have a difficult conversation with your significant other that you were perhaps avoiding, right? Have a conversation with your children. And then, of course, there's mental discomfort. Think of things that you're unfamiliar with. So let's say you're somebody who thinks they're a loser. They're incapable of achieving. Sit down and for 5-10 minutes, think of what it would be like if you did achieve. And you did. You will be surprised, Munira, of how uncomfortable certain people are of even venturing out into a thought that they've already crossed over land. It's never gonna happen. There's no way this is gonna happen. Real example. Earlier this week, somebody who is skyrocketing up in her position, in her work culture, she's pegged. She's currently heading 2 departments. She's probably going to be the next CEO or the COO, right? She was laser focused on what some insecure person in the organization said to her, and she was getting upset. And I had to grab her perspective and shake it down and pull it back up to 30,000 feet. And I said, girl, this is amazing what's happening. Focus on your North Star. You are winning. Forget about what this person said to you. Because people literally tend to hemorrhage energy all over the place. They get emotionally and mentally involved with, he said this and she said that, and they didn't look me the right way, etc. And they lose sight of what truly matters, right? What truly mattered to her was doing well, getting promoted, moving up the corporate chain. And she was doing that. And I literally had to grab her focus, pull out all the emotion that she'd invested, and she'd wasted like 3 hours fixing things that didn't need to be fixed because she got upset because of one thing that somebody said, right?
But that's the thing, right? Everybody goes through that. I mean, in corporate world, in households, we have mothers-in-law and we have, sisters-in-law and, the in-laws and the outlaws. That war is always going to keep going, no matter what culture, right? And then we have neighbors and we have friends. Oh, she said this and this said, oh my God. And you dwell on it. And I call it simmering in the same sauce because I saw that with my husband, my late husband, who just passed away. And it took me, I want to say 6 years to break that mindset because, it doesn't matter what that person told you at that pertinent time. But what happens is that you keep dwelling on it. And that person doesn't even know or doesn't even care what's happening to you.
That's
so,
right.
It's hard. And long ago, I used to be the same way. I used to worry about what other people would think or why they would say such things. I've gotten to a point in my life where I say, forget it. If you said something about me, that's on you. I have a thick skin. I'm not going to let it I'm just going to let the arrows bounce. That's what I'm going to do. But it takes a lot of work to get to that point, right? And I love the fact that you're teaching people this. Now, so give me 3 things that a normal person like you and me who cannot get to you or can do this on their own, just breaking their daily armor, just breaking off that armor piece by piece. Because now you have me thinking of a little chick inside the egg where they have this special tooth where they try to break it. And we need to give everybody this tooth where they need to break that armor. So what 3 things can anybody do?
Right. So the one thing that I teach everybody is to learn to truly, truly be selfish. People aren't selfish. People are wasting their time, energy, emotion, catering to other people all the time. So if you come first, start putting yourself first. When you wake up in the morning, do not check your cell phone. Don't check Twitter. Don't check Facebook. Do not. What you're doing is you're opening yourself up, your mind up to external stimulus. And the moment you get that stimulus, what are you doing? You are then responding to that stimulus. You are reacting instead of being proactive. If you want to be the master of your life, you don't react. People outside world doesn't get to tell you how to think, feel, behave, and do. So when you wake up in the morning, spend 5 minutes breathing, doing a breathing exercise, doing a mindfulness exercise, meditating, any modality to calm, to bring the conscious mind down to the subconscious. Now, a lot of people think the subconscious mind is where you're completely unconscious, right? No, the subconscious mind is a very calm level of relaxed alertness. What happens is the conscious mind, which is the doer, shuts down, and the subconscious mind, which is the thinker, turns on.
I'm going to challenge you on that, right? Because when my coach told me to quiet my mind, he goes, every night you go to bed, just quiet your mind, just quiet your mind. And he said, start for 5 minutes. That's what he said. It was so hard. So we had to start it in 30-second increments. And now I'm at 10 minutes, right? That I completely shut down. But it took me, I want to say 3 months to get there. So for those people who are listening, if you want to start quieting your mind and you are so stimulated, it's okay to start with small minute increments. And I know it's hard. So I know you're the coach, but I'm going to just defy you because you have to take baby steps. You cannot go up there and say, I'm going to conquer the world when you have no army. You want to conquer this thing by gathering your army, and those 30-second steps are those points. And I'm telling you, I've done this before. Those 5 minutes will come if you do this diligently. And what I had to do was schedule time on my phone every single day. At 10 o'clock p.m. is when my beep goes up. I know my phones are shut down, my electronic devices are shut down. And that's for me to just breathe and calm down. And one thing to do that is to breathe, right? Just don't forget to breathe. So thank you.
So you know what you said, Munira, it's sometimes when people talk about mindfulness, like you said, it took you forever. It took you like 3 months to learn how to do that. I tell people it is as natural to get distracted while trying to calm the mind as it is to take a breath. The mind will think. Now, most people, a lot of people who do it for the first time in their lives, they have no clue what it's like to actually let the mind breathe. I call it letting the mind breathe, right? Just removing all the chatter and all the gunk that's stuck inside your head and just letting your mind breathe. Now, a lot of times when I do it with people, sometimes I'm called to speak to somebody who's having a panic attack or who is suicidal, where I will combine perhaps hypnotherapy with some modality, right? And I'll speak to them and it'll knock them out and they'll stay out. It'll literally biologically shut down the release of cortisol in their system. Cortisol, as we know, is the stress hormone, and they will stay like that for like a week. And they'll be like, I don't know what Yahya did to me, but nothing seems to get to me. All I did was I brought out your subconscious mind and then I hammered it into place. And now nothing's getting to you. Nobody's life isn't bugging you. People's harsh words aren't getting to you, et cetera, et cetera. But while I can do that, I essentially encourage people to build it in themselves because I don't want my clients to need me for the rest of their lives, because that's getting rid of one addiction and getting addicted to me, which is counterproductive. It doesn't help, right? So Every day, 5 minutes of calming. Now, the other thing is, don't judge yourself, because when people are unable to calm their mind, they judge themselves and they're like, oh my God, you loser, you couldn't even keep your mind calm for 1 minute. There is no way you're going to be able to. Mama was right.
Self-sabotage,
Don't
right
judge.
there.
Don't judge, right? Don't judge, because again, what's the other thing our parents teach us to do? They teach us to judge. They teach us to form opinions, first about other people, then about ourselves.
True.
So the harsher we judge people is nothing compared to how harsh we judge ourselves. We are harshest on ourselves than we are on anybody else.
That's
Don't
true.
judge. If you get distracted, go back. Now, it is very easy. Everybody goes into their subconscious mind without realizing it every day. We do it when we're in the bathroom, taking care of business, when we're brushing our teeth, when we're cooking, when we're driving. These are all routine, mundane, boring tasks where the conscious mind shuts down. That is why we have the best ideas when we're in the bathroom taking a shower. We have the best ideas while we're brushing our teeth or gardening or cooking. Why? Because the subconscious mind is responsible for creative problem solving. The biggest mistake that people do, especially in high powered jobs, is they use their conscious mind to try and figure out solutions to problems. What I have done for almost 10 years now, for all my businesses, by the way, people can come to me with a huge problem and I'll be like, all right, let me sleep over it. And I will literally sleep over it. I'll give it some conscious effort and I'll disconnect and I'll go do something else. The answer will come to me maybe when I wake up tomorrow morning, like a flood will come to me. Or when I'm doing my 5 minutes, it'll just come to, it'll be the best answer, easy solution to harsh problems.
And that's
So that's
another
number
thing,
one.
right? People sit there and they don't let it go. They just think, oh, I have to find the answer. I have to find the answer. What is the
Yeah.
answer? And that's the roadblock that you create yourself. That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, the answer is there. You're just not tapping into the brain that's responsible for.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
when you're working too hard, so also sometimes working too hard can self-sabotage you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's
So
one
you
thing.
said
The other
calm
thing,
the mind,
Munira,
don't judge yourself. And
the third thing that I want to say is, instead of working on emotional resilience, although it's a good practice, I instead teach people to become so alive and to love their life so much and keep track of their North Star so much that they forget about all the small fry in the way. So instead of learning to develop a thick skin so that your neighbor's words don't get to you, that's difficult. Instead of that, get so busy pursuing your goal, your life, your career, your significant other, your job, whatever. Be so busy and so obsessed and so focused, enjoying that. Become emotionally engaged with your life, so you have no bandwidth left for whatever she said. All right, she said it big. All right, let's move on. Right. This is the power of perspective, but more importantly, this is the power of focus. I am big on focus. I teach people because people allow other people to change their emotions. Now, what is emotion? Emotion is energy in motion, right? If you let your neighbor steal emotional bandwidth from you, that's on you. That's not on the neighbor, right? So disengage, disengage. No one around you. I mean, I'm sure there's people saying things about me right now. Am I going to focus on them? Or am I going to focus on talking to you and talking to my clients and running my businesses and spending time with my children and living an amazing life, right? I have an option. I can do both. I can think about what he, she, it, they, X, Y, Z said about me, or I can just move on with my life.
Your third point is like a long time ago when I first started my job, I was very, very tense, right? Very tense with my new job because I was in the pharmaceutical industry. And I was mixing stuff and I was like very, very tense. And my boss, he was German. I loved him to death. And he said, Munir, just keep smiling. Just keep smiling. Everybody around you is going to wonder what you're up to. That was the best advice ever because you know what? Every time I laugh or smile, people look at me like, what's wrong with her? You know, even my kids do it. It's like, you just keep be happy. But if you smile, then it's also a contagious emotion because you will smile at one person. Right now we are in masks, but even then, if you smile with wholeheartedly, your eyes will show.
Absolutely.
So just smile, you know, just be happy. So that's what your point is. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Those are amazing points. So yeah, where do people find you?
People can find me on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Stress to Success. The link to that is www.coachyahya.com. If people want to consult call with me, they can do www.callyahya.com. I'm on Instagram as Coach Yahya Official. Yahya is spelled Yahya. I'm all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual, LinkedIn, all the usual places.
I like the energetic emotion that you are spreading right now, because it's really contagious.
But Munira, to give you an example, I didn't wake up like this. It is a choice I made to show up in a certain way. Now, I've trained for this many, many, many times, right? I've done very difficult things in my life. I've done very, difficult conversations, difficult accents, difficult things to do, right? It is up to me if I want to show up as a sourpuss, complaining, whining, angry, frowning, or if I want to be happy. It is up to me. So it is a willful choice. And that's why I tell people, right? When people are like, you made me angry, it is because of you that I'm sad. No one's responsible for the way you feel. You are. Every time somebody loses their temper, they're making a conscious choice to give in, to become a slave to their emotion. So I'm all about mastery when I work with people, all about mastery. You master your thought, you master your focus, you decide the narrative that you're going to tell yourself, right? That's where my energy comes from, because I saved it the whole day. I did not engage in anything that would drain me. That's why I have so much of it, right? It's basically it.
You know what? It's like a drink. It's a drink of fountain. You know this, and I share this all the time. Is like when early this year, my husband passed away, and I had to make a choice after sitting on the couch for a month. I had to make a choice on, do I just stay stagnant, or do I start moving into what I like doing? And in that mindset, I wrote a book, I created my course, there's so many things happening. And now I am energized when I work in my business. I love meeting people. I do these shows every morning. And it's just an emotion that I choose to feel. Yes, there is sadness that happens, but you can give yourself permission to be sad for a few minutes and say, okay, I acknowledge that and I'm going to move on with my life. And you have to, because you cannot stay there. I have met several people who have been in the same boat as I have, and they have not moved on. And it's, for a moment, I was like, maybe they can help me. And I was, no, this is pulling me down. I can't be associated with these people. So then I moved away. So for those people listening, this is a very amazing. I didn't know this. We are past 30 minutes, but this is amazing because we have to break through. And as we look at 2021, we knew 2020 was a year of challenges, but most of the people who have moved forward haven't looked at these challenges. They're looking at these as opportunities. And for those of you who are feeling that this year has been a challenge, then, just take that step forward and say, my year is coming. 2021 is the one that I have to build my foundation on, and I'm going to move forward. Stop simmering in your own self and just smile, right? I love the fact that Yahya laughs a lot and he just smiles. The fact that, it's always like, what is going on in his head, And the advice that my boss told me has proved, it has been the best advice in many, many times, because I stopped worrying about what people have said. And if I have something to say, I'll say it the way I see it. And that's the end of it. I don't have anything in my heart, and I feel lighter that way, because I don't want to take baggage with me when I go up there and meet my creator. But all of these things is, again, mindset and how you want to show yourself to the world. So take this advice, look up Yahya, and listen to this again, because he's given you 3 points on how to break your mindset armor and create a happy life for yourself, because that is what is holding you back. And you, like he said, you don't have permission to be sad. You make yourself sad because nobody else is making that happen. Wonderful, amazing. So many good points, so many good nuggets shared here. Thank you, Yahya. I appreciate it. I love the fact that you are here, and we will talk soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
It's
you.
a pleasure. Thank
And
you.
for those of you who like this, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, because we will have another guest next Monday with a new nugget and a new perspective. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group.